Now, for a solo presentation, please welcome VP of Marketing, Expedia Group Media Solutions, Monya Mandich.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monya Mandich, and I am the Vice President of Marketing at Expedia Group Media Solutions. We are the digital marketing organization of Expedia Group, and we are a two-sided marketplace where we connect travel advertisers with the millions of travelers that dream, shop, and purchase on Expedia Group's global travel brands. Travel companies, organizations, and corporations around the world have faced unprecedented challenges to our industry that even the most well-thought-out crisis plans could have never imagined. No matter where we were in the course of the pandemic, we all followed a similar pattern of first reacting, responding, and reassuring that is now evolving into pivoted planning and activation, likely more focused on short-term strategies and the expectations of a continually shifting landscape. We know from talking to our thousands of partners in the industry over these last several months that there is interest to understand how, as marketers, they adjust their plans to raise awareness of their brands and communicate how they are responding and evolving due to the crisis, but still with the goals that they had right before the pandemic: get in the consideration set of travelers and ultimately drive conversions when the time is right. I'm here today to talk about the changes we have studied in the travel consumer brought on by COVID-19 and the evolution that marketers and brands are making to meet these expanding needs. To start, as we do with everything in our industry, we look at data. Expedia Group has more than 300 petabytes of proprietary first-party data. That's a lot of zeros. That data shows us traveler intent and demand in real time from all of our brands and sites around the globe. So let's dive in. Now, we know that earlier this year, the drop in travel started due to restrictions around the world. What we have been tracking and sharing with our partners is how traveler searches across our Expedia Group branded sites around the world are shifting. And what we're looking at here is the percent of change week over week in searches broken out by regions. So you'll see North America is in yellow, Asia Pacific is in teal, you see blue is representing Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and green is Latin America. And overall, you can see how much this data is fluctuating week by week. Overall, we started to see increases in May that peaked in early July before trending back down, and then we started to see rises again in August. These fluctuations are due to the constantly changing situations and the perceptions in each region. It's important to look at this data on a weekly basis because it does drastically differ each week. What has remained consistent over the last couple of months is the search window. And so what we're seeing here is that starting in May, but really especially in June, we see that the majority of people are searching for trips within 21 days. And it makes sense that as things are continuing to evolve, we may be living more in the moment than we really ever have. This next chart will look at domestic versus international searches globally. You'll see domestic is represented in yellow and international is in the teal color. And there was a couple of times recently where international searches outpaced domestic in early April, early July, and mid-August, though domestic searches skew higher. And again, this is a global aggregate. When we look at the country level, we see very different stories. For example, in the US last month, domestic searches were at 94% and only 6% were searching internationally, which I think is probably not a surprise for anyone. In France, the numbers were split equally, 50-50. And in Mexico, 72% of travelers were searching for international trips. Data underpins so much of what we do, and its importance is obvious to all of us. But without the how and the why is only telling you one part of the story. We need to make decisions with both quantitative and qualitative data. What is the how and why behind these traveler decisions and trends? So we combine our internal Expedia Group data with insights from our internal research teams within Expedia Group, as well as custom industry studies to surface up those hows and whys. There were a lot of sentiment studies coming out in the months following COVID, and it was great to see those perspectives and the evolution that was occurring around if and when and how people would travel. We chose to wait until summer to partner with D-Scout on a sentiment study that talked to people who had confirmed travel planned in the second half of the year. We asked a panel of travelers in the US, Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK to tell us about their upcoming travel plans and explain what will drive their decisions when it comes to booking trips now and in the future. And a quick look at the results shows that similar to our internal quantitative data, Travelers with planned leisure trips through the end of this year are largely taking domestic trips, and 2/3 are traveling under 1,000 miles. If you've traveled recently, it may also mirror your own family's behaviors. I know I personally have explored and discovered more places in the Pacific Northwest with my family by car in these last 6 months than maybe in the entire 40 years that I've lived here. Equally important to the trends is how we respond to them and how we adapt our strategies. What messaging or content is resonating with travelers to make them book a trip to a certain destination or stay in a certain hotel or accommodation type? We dove into that more with the D-Scout study to understand what travelers prioritize today and what that can mean for the future. As expected, messaging and information related to health and hygiene tops the list. Jen, thank you. Next one. Encouragingly, the rest of the most helpful information is tied to travel specifically. Information on attractions and activities that are open for business, special deals and for some travelers, off the beaten path recommendations to avoid the crowds. These are all messages that we can weave into our advertising and into our marketing efforts. So these important insights help us evaluate what we advertise. But the questions on advertisers' minds right now are also around the how and the who. How can you reach the right traveler? And honestly, who is the right traveler during this time? COVID-19 has resulted in the emergence of new traveler segments and behaviors, from those who want to travel desperately and trust themselves to make good decisions, to those who are interested in distance travel or travel in uncrowded spaces or places. Travel brands are adapting to meet the new and varying needs of travelers. Travel advertising is an early and important piece of destination and travel industry recovery. It's really the tip of the spear, and it's an early indicator for the broader economy. Whether inspiring travelers to dream about their next trip, encouraging them to start their planning, educating them on the state of travel, or driving demand, the more we can all help destinations and travel partners with recovery efforts and help travelers go places, the more we will all benefit. So since April, we have been running a weekly intercept survey on our Expedia branded sites. And the aim is to understand why people are coming to our site and determine what travel stage they are in. And there's a few items I want to highlight on this slide. So not surprisingly, in the beginning, a significant percentage were coming to cancel, change, or check on their planned trips. That number declined significantly through the timeline for obvious reasons. Interestingly, people also are visiting our site since April to dream about their next trip. It was the largest segment, and it doesn't let up. We want to travel, and until we can, we're going to explore and dream. Where to go, when to go, how to go. And then finally, I do want to call out the shopping trend, the dark navy. This is consumers who told us that they were moving through the marketing funnel and traveler journey beyond the dreaming and onto the stage where they are actively shopping and or booking travel. And this number increased significantly the last couple of months. So even if your destination and your location is not ready yet to welcome travelers, you still should be inspiring travelers and driving awareness for when they can travel and for when you are ready. And now let's explore how different destinations and travel brands, as well as some non-travel brands, are using consumer sentiment insights to connect with travelers. So many of you have likely seen the new Let's Go There campaign that rolled out recently by the U.S. Travel Association. And they did a great job of getting cross-industry support and involvement, likely from many of you watching this. It's truly a fantastic campaign, and Expedia Group is proud to be part of this pan-industry event to encourage Americans to start planning their next trip, and this campaign will run into 2021. This campaign is in part led by research that showed that 97% of respondents said having a trip planned in their future makes them happier. I know it does for me. So like the U.S. Travel Association, destinations around the world are inspiring travelers with aspirational campaigns. This campaign by South Australia Tourism Commission spotlights the current expansive and undercrowded nature of the state. Through a stunning, highly visible platform, travelers scroll through beautiful dual imagery that highlights key attributes of the state: uncrowded, relaxing, breathtaking, carefree, vibrant, and more. With travelers around the world considering domestic trips and staycations more than ever before, travel marketers are creating unique ways to increase tourism and support economic recovery. When asked about Future trips. Our research shows that 99% of people would consider traveling by car for a domestic leisure trip in September, October. Avis Budget wanted to target domestic traveler in a fun new campaign, knowing that travelers are opting to travel closer to home. So they showcased some of the most inspiring US road trips through beautiful imagery as well as interesting content. And the campaign content also integrates reassuring partner messaging, taking those insights and knowing what consumers want and encouraging them to embark on a road trip as soon as it is safe to do so. Another example is from Dubai, who, like destinations all over the world, experienced a downturn in international tourism, and they've had to somewhat reinvent themselves and shift their approach to targeting local travelers. In this recent campaign, the focus was on domestic travel with a message of get to know your home, short trips lead to big adventures. Dubai and the Northern Emirates promoted activities and experiences outside the city center, along with hotel deals and promotions to help locals complete their staycation. We already talked about the importance that health and hygiene play and how critical it is to travelers, and it will help inform the decisions they make on when, where, and how they will travel. And brands are finding ways of delivering important messaging to reassure consumers while also striking a humorous and playful tone to appeal to their hearts and emotion, and entertain and try to alleviate the worry this pandemic has brought to travel and to other parts of our lives. In response to this trend, KFC launched a very tongue-in-cheek campaign. KFC's chief marketing officer wisely said, "We find ourselves in a unique situation, having an iconic slogan that doesn't quite fit in the current environment. Fortunately, they also said that the slogan will return, just like travel, when the time is right." Visit Los Cabos took a similar approach to welcoming tourists again and created a new campaign to communicate the new measures and protocols that are in place to protect their employees, their visitors, and their communities. The campaign creative delivered this information through playful yet important messages and visuals through all of their channels, along with a smile. Non-travel brands also recognize the importance of understanding and tapping into shifting consumer behaviors and are creating unique campaigns to tell their stories in innovative ways. With many consumers dreaming of when and where they'll travel again, the popular Swedish furniture store IKEA launched Vacations in a Box. This creative campaign gave travel-loving shoppers a way to still dream of travel while sheltering at home. To continuing experiencing new destinations, 4 boxes were available for purchase to consumers around the world, featuring such destinations as Paris, Cappadocia, Tokyo, and the Maldives, complete with home furnishings, accessories, recipes, pictures, and activities to help consumers immerse themselves in a new place in the comfort of their own home until they can be on the road again. Let's take a look. Our partner, Playa Hotels and Resorts, recently launched a very cool campaign giving consumers the flexibility to work and learn remotely across the resorts in Mexico and the Caribbean. Work and learn from paradise. It offers guests who stay 14 or more days an upgraded stay with reduced rates at their all-inclusive resorts. Other perks include the comfort of home or office life, such as dedicated or shared office space, on-site IT support, complimentary laundry services, activities, educational experiences for children, even complimentary conversational Spanish classes with bilingual instructors. I want all of this at home, or I want to ask my manager to allow me to go to Playa Hotels and Resorts. Who could have predicted that 2020 would be the year that taking our laptops with us to a gorgeous beach locale would be something desirable and something we would all clamor for? 2020 has been anything but predictable, but there are positive notes for our industry that are also actionable. While information is important to helping travelers make good decisions as they dream and book travel, for the most part, people trust themselves to make good decisions with the information shared with them. In our Intercept surveys, the vast majority of visitors to our sites self-identified as what we call practical risk takers. They want to travel and they trust themselves to make good decisions. In addition, the next largest group are the optimistic majority. God love them. Nearly a third of travelers that look forward to travel and are waiting to do so until they feel it is safe. Based on what we saw in our recent data that I shared at the beginning of our time together, we suspect that many from this segment have shifted to the practical risk taker segment. And that should be promising for all of us in the travel industry and give us hope that as we continue to aspire and educate, people will continue to pursue their need for travel. And as we continue to educate and inspire, let me leave you with some recent insights that will impact how we think about engaging with consumers in this ever-evolving climate. Digital analyst, anthropologist, and futurist Brian Solis recently updated his Generation C concept of the always-on connected consumer to evolve to Generation N, or Generation Novel, a developing psychographic that is coming out of COVID-19. Gen N represents a connected consumer by choice or by default, whose decisions are now also driven by the stressors, emotions, and consequences of a global pandemic. And as a result of COVID-19, new consumer sentiment, behaviors, habits, and values are not only forming, but they're also likely to stick. McKinsey found that 75% of US consumers have tried different stores, websites, or brands during the crisis. I know what you're thinking. These are not just people who are buying masks and face shields. And here's why you should be paying attention to that shift. Of those consumers, 60% reported that they expect to integrate the new brands in their post-pandemic lives. So thinking about the shift in traveler preferences towards vacation rentals, also the rise of car trips, we know this behavior is happening already in the travel industry, and it could mean big things for the future and a new view on leisure travel. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you found the insights and the examples useful and inspiring to your own efforts. I encourage you to subscribe to our blog on the link that you will see here. It's where we share our latest research and insights with the industry. Thank you again, and stay safe, everyone.